The snatch in general is probably one of the most technical lifts you can do in weightlifting, and the kettlebell is a little bit more lenient in terms of form. The benefit of this is just total body control, total body power. I like to use it to establish a full body dynamic movement, but also generating a lot of good stability, core stability, and shoulder stability. Because of the full body dynamic aspect of it, this is extremely well translated into sport, into any sport. A lot of lifts are very focused on just the hip or just the shoulder, whatever it might be, and the kettlebell snatch is basically full body. Every single joint is moving through space really fast. So it's a really good controlled movement for full body, which is obviously, there's very few times in any sport where it's just one collection of joints. It's usually all joints moving at one point. All right. Main thing, just like most lifts that I'll have anybody do, is keeping a good neutral spine. A lot of the times, again, when you have a front-loaded exercise, when a weight is pulling you from the front or anything like that, is to allow it to pull you down and putting your spine at a misalignment. So the main thing is, one, keeping that neutral spine no matter where you are with this lift, whether it be from the ground or whether it be completely over your head, you're always in a good neutral spine. So that's number one point to make. Number two is try to stay back in those heels off as much as you can. The more you rock under the toes, the more you're going to force the front load even more, and it's probably going to lead to a curved spine. What I like to do, start with the kettlebell up. This is a good way to start. The idea is from a hang position rather than from the ground. You're going to go into a mid squat, so the kettlebell is hanging right between your legs, so you can build a little bit of momentum. You're just going to notice I'm not letting the kettlebell pull me down. I'm keeping a big chest. I'm keeping a good neutral spine right in here. I'm going to generate some good force with my hip. What I'm going to do is establish a dynamic hip extension into a shrug of the shoulder. Pop, just like so. Hip extension, shrug of the shoulder. All right. The next motion is to pull my elbow up high. Again, I'm trying to keep the kettlebell relatively close to my body. Pop the hip, shrug the shoulder, and pull. All right. The idea is I'm not letting the kettlebell get really far. I'm pulling it pretty close to my body. From there is the dynamic aspect of this, the really quick aspect, which is once you've gotten that big pull, you're actually going to punch the kettlebell right over the head. All right. You'll see one of the quickest mistakes being made on the kettlebell snatch here. I'll demonstrate a good one and then a bad one. All right. First, dynamic hip extension, pull, and snap it over your head. Right in there to a nice, good, stable shoulder. Everything's nice and firm. Everything is sticking it up at the top. That's what I like to say. All right. I'll pour one. You'll see it flip over my hand and smash the back of my arm, which doesn't feel very good. I'll show it again. All right. You'll see the kettlebell just collapsing onto the back of the arm. If you do a few reps of those, it doesn't feel so good. The idea is when you're pulling it up, rather than flipping the kettlebell over your hand, you're punching through the kettlebell. All right. It's a nice soft catch. All right, without smashing the back of your hand. But again, the idea is generating a really dynamic hip thrust and then finding good stability up over the head. Those are the two main coaching points: hips and stable overhead. Any sort of weight that you can grab onto with one hand, whether it be a small medicine ball, kettlebell, dumbbell, something like that, you can do the one arm snatch with. I like to incorporate this into, say, maybe a 10 or 15 rep range with a slightly lighter weight, so that the body can understand a continuously dynamic hip action.